What is going on, Red Sox fans, and welcome back to episode number 2 of the Into the Triangle Red Sox podcast. And let me tell you, I could not wait to hop in and work on this one, man. The Red Sox sweep the Rays in a 4-game series to move to 53 and 45 and have a 10-game win streak. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be honest. This is the most electric Red Sox series and just, Red Sox run of games that I can remember in a long, long time. You go from being way out of the conversation to now 1.5 games up in the wild card conversation, only 2.5 or only 3.5 back in the AL East behind the Blue Jays. Ah, man, oh my goodness. You just cannot be more thrilled with how this series went and how this team played. A 4-game sweep of the Rays, who, were kind of breathing down your neck, not only in that wild card conversation, but also in the division. You were always, kind of right next to them, trying to get over them. You now are, I believe 2.5 games ahead of the Rays. Yeah, 2.5 games ahead of the Rays in the division and in the wild card. You now have some padding. You're a game and a half ahead of Seattle, who I believe is on track to lose right now. No, 5-4 in the ninth. They are winning. So we'll see how that turns out. But in general, hey man, this is a team that's red hot, and this is a stretch of Red Sox baseball that is making me really excited. I could not wait to hop on the podcast and talk about the series. Let's just jump right into it and talk about what this Red Sox team has been on this series. Game one, it was a game that did not look great. You have Taj Bradley coming in, and kind of you were hoping that you would be able to really like get hits off him. He's a guy who's not had a good year this year, 4.6 ERA. And at first it kind of looks like he's managing you, and he essentially did. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, only allowed 5 people on base, 2 hits. This, you were kind of stoned in the first inning, and you were feeling, uh-oh, this could already be the game that throws off this run. Obviously, coming into this, the Red Sox had a 6-game win streak coming off back-to-back sweeps. This Rays team was really seen as a test because the last 2 teams you sweep are the Nationals and the Rockies. So they were saying, well, is this run real? Well, we're gonna see because they're gonna take on the Rays, who are right there with them and are going to be in that playoff conversation all year long. And now you're looking at this scenario. Taj Bradley cooks you through 6, and you're sitting there saying, "Oh man, oh no, what do we got going here? How is this going to work out?" And then Brian Baker, who the Rays traded for on that day, comes in from the Orioles. They traded for him. He comes in, gives up 3 earned runs. It was a Marcelo Meyer double that scored Trevor Story, put runners on second and third, I believe, with no outs. And then a Cedon Rafaela single that scored both runs, and that would be the last score of the game. You got a quality start from Walker Buehler. Not a great start, but a good enough start. 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. Honestly, any Walker Buehler start that isn't an absolute blow up, I'll take at this point. And you just got to live with what you're gonna get from Walker Buehler at this point in time, which is, hey, if he can be decent, if Walker Buehler can be decent, I feel okay about this team. And the bullpen also came in, did their thing. Chris Murphy, Garrett Whitlock, Aroldis Chapman, 3 scoreless innings, 4 Ks between them. Really good work all across this team this game, and the Red Sox managed to just hold in there. But obviously, this is not the game that you guys are wanting me to talk about. Game one was relatively boring. Marcelo Meyer had a clutch hit. Cedon Rafaela had a clutch hit. But speaking of Cedon Rafaela clutch hits, when has there ever been a more electric moment from this Red Sox team in the last, 4 to 5 years of just pure mediocre baseball? Has there ever been a more thrilling moment than Cedon Rafaela pimping a absolute laser, or not even a laser, a absolute just towering fly ball, no doubt blast flying way over the monster to walk it off with a 2-run home run. Really, this game starts and you're already seeing the kind of stupidness going on. Uh, you know, Hunter Dobbins comes in, and we'll talk about Hunter Dobbins because it is worth bringing up. But Hunter Dobbins comes in, he walks uh Yandy Diaz on a leadoff walk on like 4 pitches, and then the Rays get a couple dinky hits that lead to Yandy Diaz scoring. You come back, you tie the game, and then you have that third inning where um you know you have Bernardino, and there are 2 wild pitches that score a couple runs. Jorge Alcala, um, should have gotten out of that inning. He had done a good job. Like he loads the bases, but this umpire, this game is really poor. A lot of missed strike calls. So you load the bases, and then you get one hit right to Abraham Toro, and it should be a play that you should manage and maybe just get out of this inning clean. Instead, gets through Toro's glove. They end up pulling Toro, and then Bernardino throws 2 wild pitches, scoring 2 more runs. Uh, Actually, they were both ruled past balls, but yeah, just really poor. So you're down that 4-1 hole. But then in the fourth, you start to come back. Marcelo Meyer, RBI double, Abraham Toro, RBI ground out, and then it's stagnant, the whole game stagnant. And then you have Cedar Rafaela coming up. Roman Anthony draws a 5-pitch walk. Really great from the kid to come in, pinch hit, and draw an easy walk. I mean, like that sets up that game-winning home run for Cedar Rafaela, who pimps it off Pete Fairbanks. I want to give a shout out to Dave O'Brien, man. Whoa, what a call. I mean, instant chills on my half from Dave O'Brien, who, just like swing and a drive. Oh, he killed it. It was so perfect for the moment. You could not get a better call than that. And that is a moment that you will probably look back on a couple of years from now as just being a moment that was so electric. You have the fan calling Sadon shot. He kind of goes viral. And then Sadon, walking off the field saying, "I got ice in my veins." Just an absolutely electric game. And from there, you kind of get the sense that that game just killed Tampa Bay in every way. The next 2 games, they will score only 1 run. Yesterday, which was the Garrett Crochet start on Saturday, you get another kind of signature performance from this Red Sox team. 1 run scored. How many times have we seen this team have these 1-run games? Well, you won the first 2 in dramatic fashion. And then in a 1-run game today, Garrett Crochet goes 9 innings, shutout baseball, 9 strikeouts, only 3 hits, does not walk anybody, and, gets that win. It's so big to talk about what this game meant for this Red Sox team and what it meant for the series. Garrett Crochet gets that extra day. He had come off a couple shaky starts against the Reds and the Nationals, and you're saying, well, the workload questions that were there, like he's already getting up to that workload now. Like this is kind of scary. And so you give him the extra day, and he says, "Hold my nuts." He says, "Hold my nuts." And he goes out there and lays out 9 shutout innings, saves the bullpen, which from this, from the Hunter Dobbins injury, horrible what happened to Hunter Dobbins, comes off the IL, had been pitching really good baseball as a rookie. And then now you're talking about like his knee just blowing up. And it's a shame. It's a shame. He was pitching really well. And I was excited about Hunter Dobbins and what he could mean for this rotation as a whole. But then, that second game, you got to kill your bullpen. I was very negative after that second game, or at least before Cedar Rafaela hit that walk-off, where, like throughout that whole game, before obviously Cedar wins the game and all my emotions immediately flip, I'm thinking, oh man, the bullpen for the rest of this series is cooked. You had to use like 6 or 7 arms just to get through that game. And you're saying, man, how are we going to do it? And then Garrett Crochet gives you what an ace will give you. That's what you have an ace for. A guy who, when you need him to show up, is going to show up and he will put the team on his back. And that's what he did. A absolutely dominant, filthy performance from Garrett Crochet. And then once again, you want to talk about that Cedon Rafaela game, that Cedon Rafaela homer, just taking all the wind out of Tampa Bay's sails, especially offensively, where they really looked dead the next two games. uh, you know, Crochet goes out, and Tampa Bay only gives up one earned run, Shane Baz, and it wasn't really even that much of an earned run. That play that Carlos Narvaez had on the RBI single should have been gloved by Taylor Walls, and it just slipped under his glove and it got through. They called it a hit. Like this Tampa Bay team just looked dead. They looked dead. And Garrett Crochet, he said, "Hey, you know what? I know you're already dead, but I'm gonna step on your neck one more time, anyways." And he put this game to bed. You win the series there. Coming into today, the vibes are great. And then, you get the game that you get from Brian Bayo coming off of a complete game shutout against, or not complete game shutout, should have been, but a complete game, his first complete game against the Rockies. Yeah, Brian Bayo come out for 6.1, 6 hits, one earned run, 5 Ks, no walks. Brian Bayo's just been giving you so much. And the bullpen isn't even much of a problem today. It's not. You have another day where Brian Bayo goes out. There are some moments where, hey, guys are going to get on base with Brian Bayo. Guys are going to get hits. When you pitch to contact, guys are inevitably going to get hits. You can't avoid it. So you know what? We're just going to go. We're just going to go and we're just going to see what it's like. I really want to talk about this fourth game, because a lot of weird stuff in this game where you have early on in the game, the hit to Sadon in center field where the ball he dives for it. It looks like he catches it. It slips under his glove. Everybody thought he caught it. Throws to third, gets Aranda out at third, and Chandler Simpson, who thought Cedon Rafaela caught it in center field, does not make it to home plate in time, and the run does not score. And you get that weirdness, and then you get Marcelo Meyer scoring the first run of the game for the Red Sox, one of 4 runs today, on a interference call on Junior Caminero. And I mean, it was absolutely interference. There's no denying it. There was that clear, obvious leg in front of the bag. There is no doubt about it. And now, that kind of started this weirdness where, you get the Rays getting screwed on 2 weird plays. And it's nice to see the Red Sox finally be the team that's not on the receiving end of those weird mishaps and moments that can really cost you games. You're going into the 6th. It's a 1-1 game. Ryan Pepio was frankly throwing a gem. He had like 65 pitches going into the 6th inning. Roman Anthony smokes a double, and then Trevor Story crushes a ball off the wall in left off the Green Monster, and Anthony comes home to score. And then you get Cedon Rafaela, who, I mean, I think he's so hot right now. He's glowing. I mean, I think there's literal heat emanating off of him in a way that it might be dangerous if you get too close. A 2-run home run essentially put the game to bed. Tampa Bay was not scoring at all today. They threatened one more time in the 8th. Nothing really came from it. And then Aroldis Chapman comes out, strikes out the side in dominant fashion, and sends you into the All-Star break on 10 straight, sweeping your division rivals, sweeping a wild card contender who is right there with you. And now all of a sudden you go from being behind them in the division to being well ahead of them, and well ahead of them in the wild card race, and just putting your fist in their face and shutting the goddamn thing out. That is a Red Sox team that we have not seen in 4 to 5 years. Even in 2021, the Red Sox were great. They were a great team, but there's just something about this club as of late, and they're playing differently than I remember a Red Sox team playing like in a long time. I'm so thrilled with what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing fight, and I'm seeing a great team energy. I'm seeing them have fun on the field. I'm seeing weird things finally happening to other teams. They're winning one run games. This is not the Red Sox team we had been seeing all year. This is a different team. And frankly, I think if you want to talk about how this team probably might get hurt by the All-Star break, that's funny. That's really funny, because I think it could be true. I mean, this team is smoking, but at the same time, who's to say, like, this team is going to feel good the entire All-Star break. And that says a lot. The Rays will not. The Rays will be sitting there thinking, man, I think they've lost now 12 of 16. They're sitting there thinking, man, we are just in this hole. We're just sitting here in this hole and we can't get out. And then you got Boston, who's thinking, guess what? We've won 10 straight, and our bullpen is going to get a lot of needed rest. Our starters are going to get a lot of needed rest. And by the time we are out of this All-Star break, we will be talking about this team legitimately looking to add more talent to this team, whether it's a starting pitcher, whether it's a first baseman, whether it's bullpen help. This team is moving in the right direction, and the vibes are unmatched compared to any sort of recent Red Sox season that we've seen in a long time. And it's really uplifting just to see a clear and obvious glimmer of hope from a Red Sox team that is rolling, and they're hotter than any team in baseball. And just when you think that the Rafi trade kills this team, there they are again and again and again. And now 10 straight, just stacking wins, playing steady, solid baseball. And I mean, hey, if you want to talk about like what's been going on between a couple teams, the Giants right now are 8 games back, uh, are 8 games over 500. Their run differential isn't that crazy. I mean, they've been on a good little run, but the Red Sox have been better than the Giants. So I think this is just overall something that we have not seen from this Red Sox team in a while. They're cooking. They're coming along. Cedar Rafaela, red hot. Trevor Story, red hot. Roman Anthony is seeing the baseball better than any 20-year-old I have ever seen. The pitching has been dominant. Pitching wins, I believe, in all 10 games, I believe, besides like the Hunter Dobbins game. We'll talk about the pitching situation in a little bit. But man, my. I'm so happy with this Red Sox team, and there's so much hope swirling around this Red Sox team. And it's not just that, it's the feeling that anything is possible this year. This is the first time in a while where, like, I mean, you could argue that the Tigers are this team. When was the last time we saw a both leagues really not have a clear cut number one team, like a clear cut dominant number one? Last year was kind of the Dodgers and the Yankees the whole way. They end up facing each other in the World Series. Now, I mean, the Tigers are great. Tigers are great, but so are the Astros. So are the Blue Jays. The Tigers, they're great, but they're not that much better than you to be the number one team in the league. So, hey, why not us? Why not us? Why can't we be the team that goes on a little magical run here if we slip into the playoffs, especially if we continue to? Obviously, they're not going to be this hot the rest of the season, but if they can finish the year and be over 500 in that kind of second half of the season and go into the playoffs on the right note, why can't you be the team to go all the way? Whether that's winning the World Series, whether it's making the ALCS, whether it's winning a pennant. Why can't you be the team to go all the way? And I think that's one of the reasons why this Red Sox team has so much hope around it right now. Anything can happen if this team gets in the playoffs and they're having fun and they're playing fundamental baseball and they're winning games in a way that Red Sox teams just haven't. Even in the first half of this year, they have not been winning one-run games. They have not been making these, like, the dumb things have been happening to them, not other teams. Now you're seeing that happen where this team is turning a corner. Everybody's red hot. The vibes are immaculate. You have the Romy Gonzalez slogan. Oh my goodness. What is it? Tremendously locked in. Is that the slogan from Romy Gonzalez? Tremendously locked in. I mean, this team's having fun. They're having fun and they're winning games. And the fans are having fun. And the fans are going ballistic. And now you're getting attention from around the league as a team that originally, when they traded Rafi Devers, this team was a joke. This team was seen as a joke. People were laughing at you. Now you're 8 games over 500 and you are in a great spot to add to this deadline. And hell, go for the AL East. You're right there. If you can stay this warm and continue to build on the positive progress that you've been making, why can't it be you? And I think that's a really fascinating development for this Red Sox team, and it could spark a generation of hopefully winning baseball, especially with a lot of these younger players that have not experienced anything like this before. Now, all of a sudden, if you put together a winning season, you continue on this path, you're talking about Roman Anthony, Jaron Duran, Cedar Rafaela, Marcelo Meyer, Carlos Narvaez, Garrett Crochet, Brian Bale, all these young names knowing what it's like to be on a winning team and knowing what the culture is like on a winning team and knowing how to put together the right recipe to win games in Major League Baseball. It's just a massive development for this team to turn this corner. And I mean, to cap it off with a 4 game sweep of a division rival who's right there in the wild card conversation with you going into the All-Star break is really fascinating. Now, there, we got to get to the downside here. The obvious downside. Hunter Dobbins tore his ACL. Obviously I already brought it up, but it's a guy that, man, like he was here. It's not like he was a rookie who like we thought could develop as the year went on. Like he was a solid pitcher for you already. He's better. He's better than Walker Bueller. And let me tell you, every time Hunter Dobbins went out there every fifth day, I'm saying Hunter Dobbins is going to give me 5-1 earned here. He's going to give me 6-2 earned. I'll take that. That's all I need out of Hunter Dobbins. He's a rookie. And to see him finally get back and to have that injury happen to him is horrible, and I really feel terrible for the guy. Now obviously he'll grind back and he'll have a legitimate chance to be in this rotation whenever he does come back, whether that's halfway through next year, whether he has to miss all of next year rehabbing or all that. I think that his foot's in the door. This is not going to be the last we see of Hunter Dobbins. But regardless, it does suck just to see Hunter Dobbins, a guy who was really already making big moves for you as a rookie at the major league level, now have to start from kind of square one again. It's terrible to see. And, I wish him the best of luck with his rehab. But the underlying fact of it now is, hey, Dick Fitz, you're next. Step right up. Let's go. Obviously, this is a guy who's been at the major league level and he's thrown well for this team when you need him to throw well. I trust Dick Fitz. I do. I'm not nervous about having Dick Fitz. It's not like you're taking some 6 ERA bum and you're throwing him in the rotation. Dick Fitz is a guy who has thrown well and I think will continue to throw well. And I think it's great because you just saw him throw his best stuff against Colorado in his last start. So ultimately, I don't think that there's too much to worry about on behalf of like, oh, well, that rotation spot is going to have to be filled by someone. It's going to be Dick Fitz. And honestly, with that, I'm not too nervous about it at the end of the day. I think he's a good player. I still think he's better than Walker Bueller. But now my head kind of turns to like, okay, well, does this make the approach to get a starting pitcher more aggressive? I think that's an interesting thought. Maybe the mindset goes to, well, like we were already looking at adding a starter. Is it more aggressive now saying, well, we were comfortable having Hunter Dobbins as our four. Are we comfortable having Dick Fitz as our four? I think that's the question. And I think that might kind of spark set a fire under the ass of Craig Breslow to maybe go out and be more aggressive and do like the Garrett Crochet trade thing where he wakes up one day and he says, you know what, fine, you guys want this last prospect, fine, have him. Take that last prospect. It's gonna be interesting to see. Um, I know that there have been many reports. For instance, the Red Sox have not called on Sandy Alcantara. They have not called on Edward Cabrera. Both interesting things to see, considering those are two guys who are seeming to gain a lot of buzz. And honestly, it make me happy to see Craig Breslow come out and say, you know what, we want to add at the deadline, but we're not going to add unless we get something that's a legitimate impact piece. We want someone's going to make a difference. We don't want a placeholder, and I respect that mindset. Now, at the same time, do I think that does lead to a scenario where the Red Sox do absolutely nothing at the deadline? We have to sit here and say, "Hey, what are you doing, Craig Breslow?" And Craig Breslow comes out and says, "Well, hey, we said we wanted impact pieces. We didn't get an impact piece, so guess what? We didn't add anybody." I don't love that mindset. I think you have to add something. You gotta, I mean, especially with what this team has done recently, there's no way you can justify not adding something to this team. It makes It makes sense that therefore the Red Sox would be the most aggressive on Joe Ryan, perhaps seeing that, hey, like this is the impact piece that we want. This is a guy who is a definitive impact player, a guy that will definitely make a difference for us. I know that the Red Sox seemingly want guys also who they can control. They don't necessarily want rental pieces. I think it's gonna be interesting to see how much Craig Breslow also has to pick and choose at the deadline, whether if everything falls through, whether he's going to be stubborn and stand put or he's going to kind of do a panic move where he instead turns and gets a 1 year rental who he thinks can help the team. For instance, like I like Merrill Kelly. I think Merrill Kelly's a good name who's been out there and he's a good veteran who has been very consistent the last like 4 to 5 years. I would not hate Merrill Kelly, but he is a rental. So would Craig Breslow go so far as to add a Merrill Kelly if, for instance, the Joe Ryan trade doesn't go through or another possible player doesn't go through? That's also going to be interesting to see. We'll see how that all works out when the deadline officially kind of comes around. And I think, once we're past the All-Star break, that's when we'll really see the deadline talk speed up, where it's like, all right, well, now we're actually in like a deal could happen at any moment type of world rather than just speculating like I am now. I do want to touch on an interesting name that I saw today that came from uh, uh, Bob Nightingale. And the name is Taj Bradley, who you just saw a few days ago throw 6 1-run innings against you. Former top 100 prospect, still only 24 years old. The Rays are apparently going to listen to calls on Taj Bradley. He said that explicitly, which is very interesting to me because we know that the Red Sox are a team that likes to go out and add control. We know that they want to go out and add controllable young arms. They did that with Kyle Harrison. They kind of saw him as the centerpiece of the Rafi Devers trade. Now Kyle Harrison hasn't come around yet, but I don't think there's any reason to rush him at this point, especially with the rotation playing the way that they have played. Now, for Taj Bradley, the interesting thing is the stuff is obviously there. I mean, if you're looking at he has his baseball savant page is not all dark blue. The fastball velo sits at 96, which is 80th percentile. His expected ERA, his current ERA is a 4.60, but his expected ERA is a 3.61, which would put him in the 60th percentile. Expected batting average, 60th percentile. Average exit velo, 60th percentile. Where he does kind of miss is with strikeouts and walks. His strikeout and walk percentage are both in kind of that bottom third quadrant, but the barrel percentage is very high at 82, hard hit percentage is very high at 66, ground ball percentage is very high at 74. I'm interested to see whether the Red Sox are interested in a guy like Taj Bradley because it is debatable whether you see him as a true impact piece this year. But in general, four seamer cutters, curveball, sinker, changeup. He's got it. He has the stuff that is, he's a 5 pitch mix type of guy, still only 24, former top 100 prospect. Do the Red Sox call on him? Do the Red Sox see him as a guy who, like, hey, his numbers here say that he should be this good, but he's struggling in the Rays or maybe looking to give up on him? Do we give him a call? Now, the one thing that does concern me is how much do I trust taking a pitcher from the Rays that the Rays have given up on, considering that they pretty much are able to make any pitcher work. I don't love that. I think if the Rays don't think he's good and they don't like him, I probably wouldn't mess around with that, even though if I do like what's on paper here, me personally. And also making a trade with the Rays is always scary because you always get the idea that they can fleece you. They are a great trading team. They always get the better half, especially in where they send out the bigger player and they get prospects back. They're always good at getting the right pieces back and putting that right back into that Rays machine that continues to churn out like 85 to 90 win seasons. Um, and also, you are a division rival, so would the Rays even entertain giving you a guy like Taj Bradley, who they see as a young guy who could be potentially great? I don't know. Now he had a 4.11 ERA last year in 25 games started. 154 strikeouts and 138 innings. I don't hate that. I like what's there. I think it might be an interesting flyer if the Red Sox can't get a Joe Ryan, whether they pivot to a guy like Taj Bradley, who has the stuff, just faced you in Fenway and gave you a great start. Interesting to see where they go with that. And I think that's a name to potentially keep tabs on because seems like he fits a lot of what Craig Breslow and the Red Sox could be looking for in a controllable starter who could have upside now, even if the counting stats aren't necessarily there. Now, you could also make the argument that, hey, isn't that just Kyle Harrison? a guy who is struggling at the big league level, former top 100 prospect, has the underlying stuff that makes you go, ooh, I like that. That's also a good point. So we'll see what Craig Breslow does. Ultimately, I would like if it came down to getting Taj Bradley or Merrill Kelly, like Taj Bradley has that upside, but once again, hey, if the Rays don't think this guy is going to work, you probably won't be able to make him work. So that's just my mindset there. And also, hey, like I don't know, Fenway is in a great place for pitchers to come in and get better traditionally. So we'll see what goes on there as well. Any final thoughts on my behalf? Oh yeah, I want to talk about the MLB draft, which is tonight. I was thinking about whether to do a draft, my podcast later and pick up the draft now, and like do the draft and the series recap in the same podcast. I decided against that. I decided that I'll watch the draft later and I'll do a draft recap, first day recap podcast later as well. So just keep an eye out for that. I will be talking about the draft. I believe the Red Sox have four picks tonight. They have pick 15, pick 33. They forfeited pick 54 because they signed Alex Bregman, pick 75 and pick 87. So yeah, four picks tonight. But it's the first three rounds. So the Red Sox will be getting a lot of players. Keep an eye on. I hear that Gavin Fein or Fyan. I'm not much of a draft guy, but I'll do as much research as I can on the guys that the Red Sox do pick. Keep an eye on Gavin Fein as a guy who has been consistently touted to the Red Sox, high school third baseman out of California, which the Red Sox seem to like high school infielders out of California. So we'll see what happens there as well. That kind of wraps up my thoughts. Let me know how you guys are feeling in the comments. This is a great feel to be a Red Sox fan, to experience wins, consistent wins. Let's go. I am excited. This Red Sox team is rolling. Cedar Rafaela is red hot, and people are loving it in Boston. People are in the streets celebrating. World Series banners already being hung up, and the Red Sox are ready to win out the rest of the year and win the World Series. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Like I said last time, I will always respond to them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe if you enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow, or later actually today, with the draft recap. Peace out.